Dave here. Thought we'd talk a little bit about where you're going to go, where you're going to stay. Um, for some people that are wanderers or nomads, that's not important to them. Um, we're planners in the way that we travel. You may be a wanderer or a nomad, or you may be a planner, or you may just be, going to visit family and friends in some city. And, if you're doing that, that's pretty straightforward. You make a circle, find the campgrounds in that area, and you're there. Uh, I suppose there are still people that are carrying around the old 8.5 by 11 campground books. KOA had one, a couple of the other camping entities. This is before the internet had the big thick books of all the campgrounds in the U.S. and you could look them up and see what the amenities were, etc. So I'm going to tell you what we're doing, and that could be different from the way you do it or the way you're going to do it. That's fine. I just want to share with you what we do. And I have used two books, my phone, and one app, and we're gonna show you those. The two books are fairly straightforward. They're easy to get. You can buy them both for under $10. One is the National Geographic Guide to the National Parks, and this is it's a fantastic book, really. And in some cases, I knew that things were national parks, and of course, governments over the history of the United States have snatched up a lot of the naturally beautiful areas and turned them into parks for everybody's benefit. So why not take advantage of that? We do, and you can too. In a lot of cases, we haven't known the extent to which the facilities were in certain parks and what you could really do when you got to the park. You know the name of the park, but you really don't realize what there is to do there, other than maybe the one signature item or see that one photo spot that's out there. The other book, number 2, is National Geographic's Guide to State Parks. Companion book, very simple. We don't take these books with us really, but what I've done is I've scanned through them and identified the areas and the parks that we're interested in, and then I have to examine them to see if they have the kinds of amenities that we like to have. So we like to go to a park that has showers. We don't need a dump station, but we like to have at least some shore power available if we're going to be there for an extended period of time. And that, I guess that means for us, an extended period of time means more than just passing through. One night, get there late in the afternoon and leave the next morning. That's not enough to really see and enjoy, but you get to use the amenities of the park while you're there. So once we've identified what the parks are that are in that area, it's really then going into Google, looking at the reviews of the park and the park campground. Sometimes the campgrounds will have different Google listings than the park themselves, and you may need to drill down. You can look at photos, you can read reviews. You may need to go to the website for the park. You may find out that the campground is under renovation and it's closed for the year or 2 years. We've run into that a couple of times, actually. And this is true generically with any campground. It doesn't have to be the national park campground or state park campground. We don't tend to use the private parks. Our experience has shown that many of the private parks, not all, but many, cater to seasonal residents as opposed to travelers. And since we're travelers, if a park is primarily full of seasonal residents and you're just going in for a night or two, sometimes that's not the best situation to be in. We've stayed at plenty of private parks as well, and sometimes it's the perfect fit, right? You've done your checking the internet on Google, you look at the park website, but before we go any further, we use one app, and that app is RV Life. And I've looked at other apps as well, but RV Life is the one we use. That's the one I contribute to as well every time we stay somewhere. And we'll open that app and we'll show you what's in there and what you can see and what you can do with that. And that's worked out great. And so what I've done is I have read these books, done the Google checking, checked the app, and I've built in a Google map all the parks that we like to that are candidates for us to stay at. It's dozens, probably approaching over 100 now. I probably get right around 100. And I do it by interstate. I'll show you that when we take a look at the details. But that's how we do it. You can do it the way you like to do it. It saves us, fumbling around checking for something nearby. So we kind of always have an idea what's nearby. And we do try to do reservations when that makes sense. But if we can't do a reservation, a lot of the parks, we'll just take it first come, first serve as well for some subset of the sites. So let's take a look at how we do it. And we'll come back at the end and wrap up.
As you can see, here's the first book, Nat Geo Guide to the State Parks. Under $10 shipped to your door. National parks, same thing. Maybe it's a little bit more, but plenty of choices. You don't have to spend a lot of money. Sure, you can check it out at the library, but there's quite a bit of work involved here. I bet you I've spent 40 hours doing what I'm about to show you. So let's go to Google Maps and show you what it's going to look like when you're done. It's going to look like this. This is a map of the US, and in here are all of the campgrounds that I've filtered and put into a saved list. And I have them set up by interstate. So, for example, if you want to see what's on I-95, you can come down here, click U. We'll click find I-95. There it is, 20 places. And there's 20 campgrounds along I-95. There's another view. This is just travel plans. So this is for our upcoming return to Florida here in another couple weeks. Here we are in Rochester. We're going to stay here at Pocahontas State Park. We're going to stay here at Jekyll Island Campground on our way to Florida. So this is a 4-day trip, actually, a couple days in Jekyll Island. So it helps you visualize how far you're going, where you're going. Here's another example. This was our June 2025 road trip to the northern western parks. Started in Florida, headed up here, Mississippi, New Orleans, Amarillo, Estes Park, Jackson Hole, Yellowstone, Mount Rushmore, Custer State Park, then across and back home. So again, every one of these was a campground place we stayed at. Take a look at how we do the first level searching and filtering. So here's Pocahontas State Park. Generally, it's got, pretty good ratings from Google feedback with almost 4,000 views. That's good. You can go in here and you can read the reviews, search on them in more detail. Specifically then about the campground, sometimes the campgrounds have a different Google entry. So the Pocahontas State Park campground may have a separate entry than Pocahontas State Park, which allows you to drill down. You can see some photos. You can check the dates at which some of the photos were posted. That's helpful. But I usually don't stop there. Looked at a couple apps. I tried Compendium a little bit, but we're using RV Life. So when you use RV Life, here's the entry for Pocahontas State Park. It also has separate reviews, and these are from the people that stayed at the park. So that's an important point. You also get another set of photos. Sometimes there's photos of the individual sites, and in most cases, all the information that's here tells you exactly what you're going to see, what kind of hookups there are. They even have a connectivity section, depending on if cell service is important to you, what kind of amenities. There's a lot of parks that don't have showers, and that's important for us, so we always check that. And then we'll tend to go look for a photo of the shower, bath area. That can be important. This is also the site that I contribute to. So when we stay here, we've actually stayed here before, but when we go to this park and stay, I'll put my entry into the website. I'll run a speed test for cell service. They actually log that kind of thing, and so it's helpful for future visitors. There's tips about the area, Q&A. You can post a Q&A, and then you can actually read the detailed ratings. People even put down what they paid, typically what kind of rig that they're driving. So very nice tool to help you filter where you might be interested in staying. And as I said, we've stayed at this one before while we're snowbirding, traveling up and down the coast. So this is an easy known stop for us. Once I determine that that's a park that I want to stay at, I'll save it. So I'll click on the save button, and you can see this one's in my travel plans, all the places we stayed on our June road trip. And as I said, I've organized by interstate. So I've saved everything by what interstate is the closest one to that campground. It doesn't have to be on. It might be an hour off the interstate. It might be 2 hours off the interstate, but this is the closest one. So pretty much no matter what interstate we're driving on, we've got places that we could potentially camp at, and that's important. Of course, once you're in the Google list, there's usually a link to the website where you have to do your booking. For most state parks and national parks, you're doing it through a state website. Private campgrounds, a lot of times you have to call. Sometimes if we're looking to stay in a particular area and there is no public campground, then you have to spend a little more time and dig up a private campground. You can get those added to the list, filter them in the same way, use the app, use the Google reviews. It's very important if you're just staying for a night or two, because a lot of campgrounds, private campgrounds, cater to seasonal people. So they're really not much interested in overnighters, to be honest with you.
You can see it's pretty straightforward. Use Google, use the app. You can filter pretty much any set of criteria that works for the way that you like to travel. I hope you'll consider liking this video and subscribing to Vanthusiasm. A lot more ideas for future videos, so keep coming back. Thanks a lot. Bye.